Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Alex Slawsby. I'm Chief Growth Officer here at InnoLead, and I'm excited to welcome you to our webcast, How ICL is Constantly Reinventing Innovation Management to Drive Incredible Results, with Dr. Hila Koren, ICL's Internal Innovation Director, and Noam Danon, Founder and CEO of Qmarkets. Hila, Noam, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Great to be here.
Oh, thank you, Alex. Great to be here as well.
Thanks so much to you both. So we'll get started in a minute. While you're all settling in, please do share in the chat where you're connecting in from. We like to see where everybody is joining us from. Hila, I believe you are in Tel Aviv. Is that the case?
Yes, I am.
How's the weather in beautiful Tel Aviv?
It's getting warmer by the minute.
And Noam, I believe you're not too far away from Hila, and I'm assuming the weather is pretty much the same.
Yeah, it's everything here is very, very close by. So yeah, 20 minutes from Tel Aviv. Technically, you can call it a suburb of Tel Aviv.
Well, fantastic. We've got one colleague, Scott, who's on with us here, another colleague, Scott, who's watching from Boston. So great to have him here. Ed, Coastal Virginia, Ron, Philadelphia, John in beautiful Jacksonville, Florida. Bertrand from sunny Paris, France. Oh, fantastic. What a beautiful place to be in the spring. So keep that coming. Carolina and Costa Rica. Wow. All these wonderful places. So let's get started. Today's webcast is being recorded, and we'll share both the replay and the slides. As we go, please take advantage of Zoom's Q&A feature and the chat to share questions and comments with us. We're here for you, so we want to make sure that we're talking about topics and answering questions that are of greatest interest to all of you. We'll address your questions and comments as we go, and we'll have time for that at the end as well. So everyone, once again, let me welcome you to our webcast, How ICL is Constantly Reinventing Innovation Management to Drive Incredible Results, with Dr. Hila Koren, ICL's Internal Innovation Director, and Noam Danon, Founder and CEO of Qmarkets. Let me briefly introduce our co-host before I turn it over. Dr. Hila Koren is ICL's Internal Innovation Director. With 15 years of experience, Hila's expertise lies in designing and implementing corporate innovation management processes aimed at fostering a culture of innovation within organizations. Before joining ICL, Dr. Koren consulted and led innovation initiatives in global companies across diverse sectors, including finance, homeland security, shipping, energy, and more. And Noam Danon is founder and CEO of Qmarkets. With over 25 years of experience in enterprise software, Noam has spent the past 15 pioneering the innovation and idea management space, helping leading organizations design and implement scalable, high-impact innovation programs. So to our audience, thank you all for joining us. Noam, let me hand it over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Alex. Thank you for having us on this webinar, and it's a pleasure to be here. So just maybe just before we start, I'll just kick off with some just high-level view of Qmarkets. Just 2 slides. I don't want to steal anything from Hila's thunder. This is the main show here is to hear all about the ICL Wonderful Innovation Program. So really, literally, just in 2 slides, Qmarkets, we've been in the last 15 years leading and also pioneering the innovation management software space. We've been serving hundreds of clients, typically enterprise and government, most of them large corporates, and assisting them basically in building a scalable innovation program, whether we're talking about internal innovation or whether we're talking about open innovation. In just trying to explain in high level what we do or where do we fit in, the ideal way is looking at it from the eyes of our clients. And most of our clients are eventually trying to build and scale their innovation ecosystem. And within this innovation ecosystem, you have your, at the center, you have the innovation team that is focused on looking at what are the challenges, what are the opportunities, what are the needs of the different internal stakeholders and the different business units within the organization. And then they need to look to the left at what's happening outside, external stakeholders. And this is where open innovation comes into play and being collaborating and keeping in touch with the startup community and working with academic partners and other experts. And on the other side, of course, they need to take all these inputs in and eventually fit it into the innovation management use cases. We typically prefer to look at these 4 use cases of trend management, technology scouting, idea management, and innovation portfolio. And today's session will be mainly focused on, let's say, the internal employee innovation program, or what's being managed internally by the idea management side. So as promised, I promised to keep our part short to leave enough time for the main event. So Hila, first pleasure having you here. We've been working together for many years in many different arrangements. So it's exciting this latest one with you leading the ICL internal innovation activities. So maybe start with a quick overview of ICL for those who don't know you, and maybe a little bit about the innovation. How is innovation perceived within ICL?
Sure. Let me share my screen. Yeah. So
Okay.
first of all, I really want to break one of the myths, that in large, established, traditional organizations, innovation is pretty hard to get. Okay. So ICL at a glance, we've been around for over 100 years. We have over 12,000 employees worldwide. We operate and sell in over 100 countries. We have R&D centers, production sites, sales and distributions all over. And we operate in a variety of industries, with our main focus being on this year. Our main focus is on food security, as you can see on the right, and energy solutions and safe progress, what we call battery materials. So this is our main focus, and I'm saying this because in ICL, me as an innovation manager, it's one of our responsibilities to tie between the business strategy and the innovation strategy. So we are very much attuned to understand what the business is looking for and really, pinpoint our innovation efforts to where the organization needs us most. Okay. We have a very developed innovation ecosystem. It's really become part of the DNA in ICL. We combine between internal and external activities to, bring forth the business strategy that we just saw. And my role is to manage the big program. It stands for Business Innovation for Growth. And just from the name of it, you can understand that it's really committed to driving growth in the organization. We don't do innovation just, for the flair of it. We are committed to contribute to the growth of the business. And it's a very exciting thing, to drive forward. Yeah. So that's like about ICL.
Sorry, I was on mute this time. Okay, very cool. So if we look at kind of the high level view of so what's driving your role as innovation leader, what gets you excited and working within the innovation space?
Okay, so I've been doing this for the last 15 years. Okay, I've been formally part of ICL for the last 2 years, but I started as their consultant, I think 6 years ago with you, Noam. Okay, we started this project together. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But all in all, I've been doing this I've been doing innovation management, especially in huge global organizations, for the last 15 years or so. Okay, and what really keeps me going is that this whole domain of innovation management is such a great combination of so many different backgrounds. Okay, so you have strategy, you have management, you have psychology, you have communication, you have business development. Everything comes into place when we are talking about innovation. So this is one thing. And the second thing, on the personal note, it really combines between what we call soft skills and hard skills. I don't really like this division, but nevertheless, it's something that we use. So we really need, as innovation managers, to combine these two in order to really put infrastructure and processes in the organization that on one hand really engage and on the other hand bring results. And this is like an entire playground to play in. And it keeps me going, for all these years. And I haven't had enough of it yet.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, and it shows. I mean, we've been working with hundreds of organizations, typically very large ones, like ICL. So it's a very big, distributed, complicated, complex organization. And when looking at the ICL results, which they're not the first time I see them, you're getting to very impressive results, which you'll be sharing a little bit more soon. So, what's the secret sauce? Well, how do you make it work in such a large and distributed company?
Okay, so let's start first of all with the results. Okay, so I don't know how many innovation managers are on the talk today, but I'm telling you, with all the experience that I have, this is a dream come true for innovation managers. Okay, so we are 6 years into the program. We have an average of 400 ideas per quarter, which is outstanding. We have a conversion rate of about 3 to 1, meaning that 1 out of 3 ideas eventually becomes a project. It takes time, but eventually it does. And we are accountable for, tracking the operating income contribution on a regular basis. And this has been also acknowledged by HB, by Harvard Business School. They have conducted our case study on BIG, which is a great, pride for us. That was published last year. You can find it online. It's really exciting to see, this acknowledgement coming from such a prestigious business school. Yeah. So if you ask me about how we got here, so, I can talk for hours, okay? But let's start with 4 main points, okay? The first one being that it's really important to understand that every program starts somewhere, and usually it starts small and it grows eventually, okay? So it's an evolutionary process. There's a lot going on this slide. I just want to pinpoint one thing, okay? We started off with a pilot with 500 participants. It took us a while. We learned what worked, what did not, adjusted whatever we had to, then grew up into 1,500 employees. It took us 2 years to go from here to here. And only a year after that, we opened it to the whole 12,000, okay? So it's really important for me to emphasize that, you can have the big goal as you may, but start as a pilot, grow eventually, learn as you go, adjust the platform, adjust the processes in order to make it stick and make it stable. Okay, so this is one thing to understand that it's an evolutionary process. The second thing is that we manage the entire value chain of innovation. Like any other business process, innovation has its own value chain. And in order to make this a bit more interesting, I want to take us to an allegory from extreme sports, and in extreme sports to talk about mountain climbing, okay? So in every extreme sport, mountain climbing included, there are people that are engaged with it professionally and people that are engaged with this on an amateur level. And when we ask what is a success in mountain climbing, we get a totally different answer from the professionals and the amateurs. So for the amateurs, a success is reaching to the top, right? But then when you ask professionals what is a success for them in mountain climbing, they say reaching to the top, sure, but also safely going down the other side and safely returning home. And now let's take this to innovation management, okay? So here again, we have our professional and we have our amateurs. And I don't want to ridicule anybody. I'm just sharing, my perspective on this. So when we are amateurs, we're just in the and amateurs is even beginners, okay, making the first steps. We think that success is coming to ideation. We think that if we get these ideas coming, this is what is considered a success for us. But as we mature in managing innovation, we understand that you also have to get safely down the hill, meaning that you have to evaluate and select these ideas. How do you do that? You have to develop these ideas and you have to commercialize on them. And if you don't go down the other side of the mountain, then you're just, you're making flair. But we cannot afford making flair in organizations without showing for results. So if our first point that I said was that to understand it's an evolutionary process, the second point that I say is you got to manage the entire value chain of innovation. Don't think that when you have ideas, then, you're on the win here. And then the third point is, to have really clear objectives. So you can have lots of objectives while you think about the program, but it's really important that you pick your top 3 and you stick to them. So our top 3 was to enhance ideation, accelerate execution, and improve collaboration. And this is what we focused all our actions upon. I can tell you that the first 3 years we were really focused on enhancing ideation. We did everything to have large engagement, to have all these ideas coming. We wanted, to get to it for it to become a cultural aspect. Then we moved into improving collaboration. We did this with many matrices and many prizes that we gave for, collaborating units, etc. And only the more mature stage, practically this year, we are really focused on accelerating execution. But we had these 3 objectives, top objectives from the beginning. So again, be patient, okay? Clear your desk, pick 3 main objectives that you really want to follow on, and then make them work. And then the next thing is, how do you define innovation, okay? Because we are all, when we're in the innovation industry, there are so many definitions running around. Okay, you can define it by either it's incremental or it's breakthrough, it's transformative, it's disruptive. You can go by it's a process, you can go by it's an outcome, you can go by it's a state of mind, right? We all know all these different definitions for innovation. But what we did is we said, okay, what will serve us best? If we have a vision that we want to turn innovation into a cultural aspect, meaning that everybody feels it's their job to be part of it, and not only the geniuses in R&D or the top mechanic or the top engineers that we have. If we want everybody to take part of it, how should we define it? And we came up with this. And for us, it's effective innovation. It means that we generate and execute new initiatives that change the way we are used to do things to the way we should do things in order to create a meaningful, positive impact on our business. Okay? And what happened when we put this in place? Everybody could find themselves in it. No matter what your role is, no matter what you're operating in, no matter what you're doing, everybody that cares enough can see a way in how to drive this change from what we're doing today to what we should be doing. And again, the impact on the business is always, always there for us. Okay, so those were the 4 main points that I really believe in strongly. Okay.
Okay, very cool. So we looked at, the top strategy, which is critical, right? So you have your high-level goals, you have your North Star of where you're going. Now, one of the most difficult parts is, breaking it down. So bringing back to, so how do I make it into a process? How do I, incorporate this into the actual day life of the organization? And this is also from what I've always, liked about the ICL program, is that you're doing a really good job there. So can you walk us through this part?
Thanks. Sure. I'm going to share again. Oh my God, I promised just one bleach.
It's technically the same one, so it's,
Yeah. Okay.
we don't count it twice.
Works great.
Cool. Okay. So one of the things that I think is really important for us as innovation managers to remember is that we shouldn't start from scratch when we're designing an innovation program. And most organizations are so busy and they're so overloaded with things that as much as we stick and leverage existing structures and existing processes, this is a really good start. And once you do that, then you build on the ones that are missing. Okay, so I'll show you an example for what I'm talking about. Okay, so first of all, we're using, of course, the Qmarkets ideation management platform. Okay, and our organization in ICL, we're built out of 8 business units, 8 divisions. We have 5 business units and then 3 supporting divisions. So first of all, we said, let's take the structure of the organization and build the innovation program adjusted to that. Meaning that when we opened the ideation platform, there's a separate area, a different area, what we call a tenant, for each one of the business units separately. Every employee can go between all, they can see all, write all, but they are directed directly, to their business unit, okay, in order to suggest ideas for. So we are aligned with organizational structure. We have a dedicated area for each one of the divisions. And then we said, I, as an innovation manager on an organization that operates globally with so many different businesses going on, I cannot do this. I cannot be hands-on. So I need a team of innovation managers with me. Again, we built on the structure. And for each one of the business units, we appointed what we call a big champion. And he's the innovation manager of that division. It's a lot of responsibility for all of them. It's on top of whatever they're doing. We're demanding a lot out of them. but they're also getting a lot from this, okay? So again, go with the structure, business units, that's how we divide our platform, and this is how we appoint our managers. And because, I don't know about other organizations, but in ICL, divisions are really competitive, okay? So we figure out that if we have a competition, like a quarterly competition between the business units, this will really get them going, okay? So that's about the structure. And then we looked at routines, like what kind of routines are constantly going. So every organization has town halls, every management has its communication, you know, the emails, not the emails, the periodic newsletters that they're selling.
Newsletters, yeah.
Yes, thank you very much for that. They have their professional forums and meetings. They have their own yearly competitions. They have periodic performance reports. So we looked at the routines that are already going. And then we said, how can we leverage them? So today, in every town hall, in every one of the divisions, they allocate 10 minutes for the champion to come and show what's going on in terms of innovation. And in every newsletter coming out, there's a section telling about what's going on in big, okay? And we have structured professional forums that adjourn anyway. And we put on that, you know, for them to look and evaluate ideas. So we really did a lot to understand what structures and processes are already there and, you know, stick to that. But it's not all there. So some are missing. Some you need to create, okay? And of course, we created these roles of the big champions. We started with that, okay? Down the road, we saw that the big champions, if we really want to do a good job and we want to give all ideas attention, that's not enough. So we put in the big captains in place. So each one of the champions appoints captains. What does that mean? That in every single site, manufacturing site, R&D lab, headquarter, we have a person of our own. They're called the big captains. And we train them. I will show you, you know, as we go, what kind of training we have in place, okay? And they are our eyes, hands, legs on site. And then we saw that there, you know, it's really getting traction and a lot is going on, and we are doing such thorough analytics throughout the quarter that the champion cannot do it all. So we appointed a big deputy, okay? So now we have 3 roles in place. It took us a while to get there, but now we feel that everything is being taken care of. And about routines, we started from the beginning, we insisted on this, to have a quarterly big council meeting, meaning that all top tier, all executive of the organization are there, all heads of the business units are there, and we're giving time for each of the business units to come up and present their work. We have winning ideas, we have winning projects, we have a lot of recognition going on there. We have put in place measurement mechanisms that I will elaborate on in a minute. We have put in place a lot of recognition that I will show you again, and the training, of course. And we work with KPIs that you will understand more as I go about how we measure things, okay? So the first thing is really to build on existing structures, see what you're missing, and then add on that. Is that clear, like? Yeah? Okay, cool. And you can see here that this is how it's built. So this is the corporate level.
And of course, sorry, of course, I assume that, you know, the champions, the captains, these are all, they have a day job, right? So
yeah.
this is,
It's
of course,
all
on top of their role. They're all busy, they all have a day job, but yeah, wonderful.
Yeah, you know, I grew up in a home where everybody was self-employed, okay? And my dad has this saying, if you want something done, give it to a busy person. And that's stuck, okay? So all these people are extremely busy, but extremely capable, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So on the corporate level, we have the big council, all top management meeting quarterly. We have the big team. It's only myself and 2 more employees. This is the big team. We manage the whole operation, but we have on the division level, these 8 champions, and they have their deputies. And then on the site, we have these 140 captains, and it's open to all we call agents, all employees that are taking part of it. So all the way from the top to the bottom, all tiers are involved in this, okay? So this is how we go in terms of roles and responsibilities. And do you want to ask me anything about management buy-in?
Me? No. But before that, I think it's time for our first, for our poll. So we wanted to give everyone a chance to participate, and we want to hear your voice. Alex, I think this is over to you.
Yeah, and I'll share the poll in a second. Hila, so we've got some great questions. I'll briefly mention what they are, and then you can share if you want to talk about them now or if you'll cover them in some of your additional materials. One great question: what was the key to getting so many ideas, and what did you do to get people involved? Related, what was key to determining how to get good ideas and choosing the best ones? And then we've got two around measurement. So, how do you measure ideas and projects in the early stage? And then, of course, a great question, which is how do you map them to revenue? Are you measuring savings? Should we talk a little bit about those now and do the poll, or would you like to wait because you'll address some of those as we go?
I'll address some of those as we go, and whatever has not been answered, we'll give it time in the Q&A, okay?
Okay, perfect. So let's launch the poll. So everyone, you should see a poll that's popped up. We're going to talk about barriers now. So what is the biggest barrier you're currently facing in your innovation program? We've got a bunch of options, and goal here is to select the one that's most relevant to you. Is it lack of the right tools or systems, duplication of efforts across teams, low engagement or participation, difficulty scaling or sustaining initiatives, misalignment with strategic priorities, limited executive buy-in or support, or other? If there isn't that a choice there that applies, please share it in the chat. I wrestled a bunch with this. I thought we should put all of the above because we know that there are often many barriers to overcome, but really interested to see where you all come out. So let's take a few seconds. Go ahead and make your selection. Curious to see where you come out on what that number one barrier is, recognizing that frequently it is more than just one barrier. So if you haven't clicked, please go ahead and do so. And then let's see where we come out. All right, I'm going to end it. Let's share the results and take a look. So definitely a set of three that set themselves apart. Difficulty scaling or sustaining initiatives is number one, followed by strategic priority misalignment and limited executive buy-in, and then a few others. So Hila, Noam, happy to have you speak to those, and then we'll keep going.
Okay, so it's really, I hope that the next slides are going to address these, okay? So should we just go at it?
You can go ahead.
Absolutely. I think this shows a really good representation of what we typically see also from the wide range of clients that we're working with. So absolutely, I think the executive buy-in is, as the upcoming slide shows, will be the next topic. And I think aligning with strategic priorities is something that we see always coming up as a challenge, and we also see it as a barrier for innovation teams that are not aligned with strategic priorities of the different parts of the business are typically struggling to succeed. So definitely these are topics, and of course the scaling topic. So I think we'll be covering more of these along the discussion, and we can come back to it, right? Also in the Q&A.
Yeah, we can. And I'll just add one thing briefly. And Hila, I think it's back to your point about establishing a clear, definition of innovation. And so we know if you're in a room of 100 people and you say the word innovation, there'll be 100 different things that pop up in people's heads. And answers to these poll questions can vary if you're focused on doing core innovation work all the way up to the transformational work. Right, the further from the core, the more it's, we don't have executive support. There isn't the division, or at least the exploit mix at the top. And then obviously if it's closer to the core, it may be tied more to specific organizational details. But just to emphasize, getting that common language is crucial.
Yeah, definitely.
Please
Okay.
proceed.
Okay, let's proceed.
Cool. So thank you everyone for the answers and participation. So let's talk about management buy-in. So I think from our experience, this is really one of the more difficult aspects. And I know within ICL, and you also touched on it a little bit, you are extremely connected to the pulse of the organization, and this includes senior management. So, how do you do that? Can you share some, real examples as well throughout?
Sure. So first of all, I believe that an innovation program should bring value, and it should bring value to all stakeholders involved, meaning from top management needs to get value out of it, and the last of employees need to get value out of it. And each one of them speaks a different language, and we need to speak all these languages, okay? So maybe it's not in the order, but I'm going to touch on all these points, okay? So first of all, to get engagement going on a regular, I'll get to the management buy-in in a second, okay? It's all combined. Be patient with me. So, but to drive engagement for, 6 years going, it's really important that we use, if you're using an ideation system, build a strategy around it. We all the time play between combining campaign types, meaning we have bottom-up campaigns. They are open constantly. Ideas can stream in whenever somebody has an idea, 2 o'clock in the morning, weekend, whatever, okay? And we collect these ideas on a quarterly basis, and we work with them throughout the quarter, but we monitor it on a quarterly basis, okay? It's open to everybody. It's no topic there. All we ask is the people that submit ideas is to mark whether this is a product idea, a process optimization idea, or a business model. These are the only 3 categories. We really keep it simple, okay? So anybody, anywhere, anytime can submit any idea that pops to his mind. Just mark which one is it, okay? But then we also have top-down campaigns. Now, these campaigns are strategic topics defined by management. So this is coming into where I get my management buy-ins. We bring them value. When there is a strategic challenge that they want to crack, and they understand now that we are open to all 12,000 brains in the organization, and you never know where a good idea can come from. It's a lot of surprises here. We have people we never thought would bring this type of ideas to the table, okay? So when we take the topics that are important for management and we ideate on them, and we work with these ideators, and we make their ideas valuable, and we present it back to management, that's a win for us, okay? So these top-down campaigns, so they're strategic topic defined, they're time framed. We don't run them for more than 3 weeks because that's the largest span of attention we can get. The audience is designated, meaning we do not want to make noise. So we choose our audience for each one of these topics, but we make it as wide as possible. Whenever I have a chance, I will have people from R&D, from business development, from manufacturing, from finance working together. Okay, so we make a variety of participants, but we decide which ones they are going to be. And it's run in a really professional manner, meaning each one of these campaigns, we kick off with a lecture that explains the campaign, explains the challenges, explains the type of ideas we're looking at. And I must say that usually these types of campaigns, we give prizes. So this is run by the business units, not by me, globally ICL. So they do give sometimes small monetary prizes. I always go for the fun prizes, give them parking spots, give them lunch with the CEO, give them whatever, okay? I don't always go straight to the money, but some people prefer that. I don't argue. But nevertheless, they're managed like a tiny, not tiny, like a closed environment for a specific challenge that we want to crack. And we are doing a lot of these. So my guidance for each one of the business units, champions, to run 2 such campaigns each year. Okay, they can usually quarter 2 and 3, 3 and 4. We don't start it on the first quarter. We work around that. Okay, but it's very managed, and this keeps on bringing traction, attention, engagement, and value to people. So this is one thing we do. And we have run, I think the last year, 2024, and I'll talk about what you see here, the Gold Hunt. I'll talk about that in a minute. We ran 15 such campaigns, and we had over 500 ideas coming up from them. So this is amazing, no? Say yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, cool. This is one thing. Second thing, management talks business. They want to see the numbers. And what we have done is that we have put in place a way on how we monitor and measure these ideas. So we came up with a big index, okay? I can't walk you now all through the ins and outs of it, but what needs to be understood that we are using typical financial matrices, meaning on anything that becomes a project, we follow on the operating income, on the cost, on the time to money and the time to market, on the probability of success. So we give an estimation of what's, and we put a number on that. Okay, so we gather all this information, and it's given a number that we calculate into an index. And this index allows us, first of all, to work with KPIs. For us, we have a KPI for each of the big champions, they have each year to rise by 20% of the big index, and they're compared to the last quarter and last year. So the growth has to be internal. They need to grow their index, and then we compare this growth between the business units. Okay, so this one thing, it helps us really run a competition between them, and we have a clear KPI that we work with, that you can see here what we make the index of. We measure a lot of things. We measure their engagement, ideation level, their review rate, their quality rate, etc. When we give them a KPI, I only have 3 for them. One is to grow by 20% of the big index. The second one is to have 80 ideas, at least minimum of 80 ideas reviewed, meaning I do not want to see ideas that have not been touched, related to, answered upon, got any kind of comments on. Okay, so they need to review ideas. And expiration rate. We do not allow them, as much as we can, that over 20% of their ideas will be expired, meaning nothing happened with them in 9 months. Okay, so we keep them tight, but we keep them loose, and it works. Okay, it works because management understands numbers, and when we talk numbers and when we talk indexes and progress, then it's something that management, it's good to their ears to hear it. Okay. And everything is displayed in a beautiful dashboard. It's real-time adjusted. Anybody has access to that. You can go by the different, you can see here, there are the different business units. Each one has its own area. They can follow up on how many ideas are there, what are all these things that we're measuring. Everything is really here. And we're slowly but surely, it's starting to be a managerial tool. Okay, and each quarter, this is what we present to our top management. We work from this board. Okay, so everything is being answered upon. Okay, does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So you seem to be, measuring the potential, the impact, the progress of the innovation in a variety of different ways, which I think is a big part of any innovation management program success. And I really like how you also basically built the big index, which I know also took time to build. So it's not the first year thing, it's also constantly evolving. And how basically the index combines engagement with value, with other parameters that you set as goals to ensure that if you get here, we know that this will make the program successful. So I really like that mix, and I think it's definitely something that helps move forward. So some of the questions also that were asked on the Q&A now relate to, okay, so how do you get people to buy in? So we talked about the management, but you have 10,000 people to engage, and you're multinational with God knows how many languages across the organization. So how do you get people to participate and submit meaningful ideas?
Okay, so this is my favorite part, right? So this is where I get excited upon. So each year, since 2023, it really started, we have a theme for the big program, okay? And this theme colors everything. We do our working plans through it, we have our KPIs to it, we have communication that's on it. Everything is colored by whatever we're after, okay? So let's start with 2023. So we want, and it's always aligned with the CEO's focus, okay? We don't call it exactly what they call it, but we have it, it's a conversation between the two. They're connected, okay? So in 2023, we called it Big Everywhere, and we were really set to get worldwide engagement. Then we made a whole working plan to how to do that. And one of the KPIs was to have a 15% rise of new participants in each one of the business units. So they really worked hard to get, deeper and further into the organization, okay? And then we opened, the ideation platform to all employees, and we understood that there's a language barrier. So we picked the 5 top languages that the organization speaks, and we translated the entire system into that, okay? And we really set in place the captains all over, made sure that they're there, they know what they're doing, and we started what we call the ILP training, which is Innovation Leadership Program, which I will talk about later on, okay? But just to see how everything is connected to that year. The year after, 2024, we had the Gold Hunt. So now we were looking for game-changing ideas. We said the organization is mature enough. We have the core ideas coming in. A lot of them are incremental improvements. That's great. Let's go for the breakthroughs. Let's go for the transformational. Let's go for the ones that are not only business unit related, but also ICL level related. Offer us, game-changing ideas for the business units and for ICL. And this is when we really, really stuck to the strategic innovation part. Each head of the business units put up 3-4 topics that were really important for them to find breakthroughs in. And we did campaigns throughout the year with that. We put in a lot of ideation labs, meaning that we bought different methodologies of how to ideate. We offered these for free to the business unit first year. This year that the labs are still running, they are paying for it from their budget. Okay, so like I said, everything needs to be looked at in a process perspective. Okay, and we have a lot of big talks, what we bring in speakers for inspiration. So we did all this in 2024, and we also have great prizes. So it's really fun for, we have the competition between the business units, and we have, okay, I'll drop that for a minute. And then this year, because our CEO's focus is really seeing results and going for execution, we said, cool, this is what we're going to do this year. We're going to call it Big Driving Results. It's related to Formula One. We're downstreaming our efforts towards, we talked about the value chain, really going to the top, climbing down the mountain, okay? And then we have a KPI here that's to monitor the realized value. It took us a while to get here. It was not possible from the very beginning, okay? And we do execution-related training. So every year when we put on this program, you have to see what's going on. So we have the presentations, we have the screens, we have communication, we have kickoff meetings. We make a big celebration out of each of these themes, and it runs throughout the year, and we end it with a big Shazam, and this is really exciting, okay? So do you want to see what happens this year, how we translated it into a working plan?
Absolutely. I think it's a topic that many innovation managers face this year is show me the money, show me results, right? So yeah, let's see.
Okay, first of all, it's important for me to say we need to show results, but it cannot take our energy just to there. We need to keep our energy also on the ideation part and all. Otherwise, we dry the funnel. Okay, so it's a very delicate balance between how do you really show results and how do you keep the funnel, streaming. So this year, driving results. Are you ready? I'm excited about this. So as I showed before. So we took our mountain, we put it in a value chain, and we told everybody, this is what we're going to be focusing on, okay? And this is what we're going to do. So I'm not going to focus on this. So we have, again, all the workshops and lectures on how to follow up on realized value. What does it mean to execute faster? How do you do that? Now, we took the theme from Formula One, and we said, okay, let's see what can we do that resonates between the two. So in Formula One, there are the owners, there are the cars, there are the drivers, there are the team members, laps, pits, everything is there, right? There's the winning driver and the winning team. And we took that and we said, how can we turn this into an innovation program this year? So we decided that we're going to have racing teams. It works like this. So each one of the business unit has a racing team, a Formula One racing team. And we told them, bring it on with initiatives that are in different maturity levels. Meaning, you see here the idea lane, bring us one that's in idea phase, then 2 that are in feasibility indication, meaning they are progressed a bit, give us 4 that are in the project towards implementation, and 1 that are really nearing implementation. You want to cross the finish line. Finish line meaning you can show realized value coming in from these projects. And we have the entire year, so each one of the business units made up this team of 10 cars. And we are giving them workshops to help them move the car forward. Each lap they move to the next, step. And we measure how many of them have been able to move most of their cars to the finish line. So this brings a conversation to the table that's exciting, okay? That it just doesn't not talk, let's show results. It's showing it and making it happen in a fun and exciting way, okay? And one more thing that I did this year was we want the program to touch everybody in the organization, right? And if we focus only on these 10 initiatives, we're losing out the attention of all the rest. So we made out these checks. They're actual checkbooks, okay? They're spread out throughout the organization. Any employee anywhere that has bought, implemented any project that brings any kind of value, I don't care if it's $100, $10,000, 200,000, I don't care. They write a check of their initiative and they send it to their head of the business unit. And he's collecting these checks. And the end of the year, I want them all sitting there with a bundle of checks, really showing off what their people have done. Okay? So this is just on a shoestring on how you take a goal that you want to accomplish this year and turn it into an innovation program that colors their entire organization year round.
Really cool, and I know you well, so I see this is really where your passion is, to take it eventually and break it down and get people excited about it. And part of that is, of course, also investing back in people. So whether it's giving back, recognitions, investing in training, all those different topics. So I think
Yeah,
you mentioned it briefly earlier as well, but if you can share some some examples or of those
sure,
activities that you do.
sure. So about recognition, we're really strong on that, okay? So our approach is to have recognition rather than monetary rewards. I already said that. We want to recognize creativity, engagement, and effort, not only successes. And we want to reward exceptional results, okay? So what we do is, first of all, I told you the business units compete between themselves every quarter on who has the highest rise in index, right? So we have this statue that's been with us for the last nearly 5 and so years, hasn't broke yet, touch wood, and it's really heavy, it's chunky, it's gigantic. And we have a ceremony for one business unit to give it to the one that is winning this quarter, and it moves around between everybody, and we keep score of who has it visited, okay? And this is something they're really proud of. The entire quarter, it stands in the office of the head of the business unit. It's a conversation to have, okay? So this is one type of recognition that we do on the ICL level. And then we work a lot with just giving out certificates, okay? So that we are tracking and giving recognition for the best idea for the quarter, the best project, and now because we added a new category, because we are on execution this year, we want also for them to compete on the best implemented project. Okay, so this is how you take the topic and you break it down into every action that you do in the organization throughout the year. Okay, and what we do with these people that have won, so we have there's an internal competition for all these categories internally in each of the business units, and then they come and show us. We have like a top ICL committee. Each one gives us their best, and we choose one best idea, one best business, one best project, one best implemented, and they're the ones coming to present to the big council. So we have employees from all over the world coming to top management, showing their ideas, answering questions. And this is a lot. This means a lot. It's a lot more than getting, a gift card, okay? And one more recognition that I really love, it's called the Big Genie. So when we allocate people that have really done a lot for other people's ideas, not for their own, but really, help, clarify barriers and answer and help, communicate with people or touch goal with whoever they need to be in contact with, we call them big genies. And this is also something, it's a real statue. It's smaller than it's not as heavy as this one, but it's cool enough to stand on the table. It comes with a beautiful certificate that the CEO is signed on, also the CTO. You see that it's highly evaluated, and people are going crazy over these genies. They post it on LinkedIn. They really appreciate getting it. They're really excited about it. So there's so much we can do when we do recognition, in a manner that honors everybody. Okay, so this is about recognition.
Wonderful. So I know we have maybe one or more topics, but I
Yeah,
want to also leave some room for Q&A. And I see some great questions. So if it's okay, we'll kind of wrap up this part. So I think
sure.
you covered kind of a lot of different aspects of what it takes to make a successful innovation program within ICL. Of course, every organization is different, and we see variations. And in your consulting days, I'm sure you've seen also different variations with different organizations. But you covered all the aspects of getting management buy-in, getting the communication and the engagement, giving recognition back, staying in touch with, the core strategic values and the needs of the CEO and the different business units, and putting this also to work kind of across the organization. So very impressive. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Alex, hit
Yeah,
us with some questions.
we have a lot of great questions, so let's move through them quickly. We'll start with some ones just submitted because they tie to your most recent topic. One question from John: what's the metric you're tracking to be able to know about the big genie?
Okay, so about the big genie, this is more of the heart. So it's not really a metric. It's if you you can also say that somebody really helped you, and ask him to be and recommend to us that we give him a big genie. Okay, so it doesn't have, all that it needs is for somebody to be involved, go out of the way, go the extra mile to help somebody else with their idea. And either the champion sees it or the idea submitter itself sees it, and they tell us this is a genie for us. Yeah, and we try not to use it too much because otherwise we drain it. Okay, so yeah, so we say like give out 2 of these a quarter, not more. So yeah.
Wonderful, thank you. So let's get to there are a few questions around this topic. So of course, if you're going way beyond the core, there are a lot of ideas that don't pan out. There's a lot of pivoting. There's a lot of time for proof of concepts to prove out, and certainly for return. And so a number of people have asked, so I mean, how do you position this with leadership? How do you reward and recognize when it may be a long time before something pays off, and something may fail? Like, are you measuring how quickly somebody fails something, for example?
Yeah. Okay, so we just started this really because now we feel that we're mature enough to also come and present in front of the councils failures that we can learn from. Okay, so like failing just for the sake of, saying we are open to failure, or we have patience for failure is not good enough. If you can show what you learned and what cannot be repeated, then come and show us in the council, and it's very much appreciated. So we don't reward failures, but we do turn them into a learning experience. And I must say, we're in the beginning of this. It's not something that's really rooted in our processes, but we're focused on getting more and more of that going in. And about the patience needed for a long time, sure, of course. Nothing happens, especially when you develop new products. So new product development takes like 5 years, of course. So but we keep on monitoring its progress, and each quarter we update whether they have progressed in terms of, are they on time? Have they done, their pilots and got their initial results and the proof of concepts? We want to see progress. We don't want to rush into results, but we do expect them to follow up on the projects and be hands-on on what's going on.
And of course, I know within ICL and in general with our clients, this is also our best practices. You need to have your forecasted impact for these ideas way before, of course, they're implemented, right? So it takes time. So initially, all you have is the estimate and the forecasted, impact, but it's still a valid measurement. And as you get closer to the implementation, this can get more fine-tuned, more exact, and after it's implemented, you can compare it to realized value. And this is where, of course, so you have the long term and you have the short term, but everything can be measured and can be presented as results or future results for management as well.
Hila, one point you made earlier was the value of giving a busy person things to do, and they get it done very effectively. It sounds wonderful. In a lot of organizations, though, the work that is not about the day to day, right, gets put off, right, because people tend to be rewarded. And we'll talk briefly about your recognition system as well. But how does this actually work in practice? Yes, it sounds great, but how do you get people whose day job is to focus on the day actually working on these bigger things as well?
Yeah, so we got to show them that there's something in it for them. Remember, I talked about bringing value to all stakeholders involved. So I can say that, we've been doing this for 5.5 years now, and we don't have today the same champions that we had at the beginning. They every 2 years or so, they switch, okay? I can say with full confidence that every one of these champions were promoted when they went to their next job, Okay, so they're willing to put in the hard work, the extra work now. It gives them such a big exposure to top management that they would have never gotten in their day job. Okay, it requires them to be in contact with all their management inside the business unit and communicate with the executive management. So it's a lot of work, it's a lot of pressure, we demand a lot, but they also receive on a personal level a lot. And we give them trainings and we give them offsites, we pamper them, we really put them on the stage there. So and not everybody's up to it. If they're not, they're not.
Noam, let me turn to you because, of course, the story's such a great one, and at times seems like an outlier because Hila, I mean, you've done such great work for your whole career. I mean, everything you're doing is sort of so richly presented and all the thinking. I mean, it really is. I can see why it's a case study. So, Noam, I mean, what's your view? I mean, is this the stars aligned? I mean, are there things here? Because again, one data point we have is the frequency with which senior management turns over in large organizations and innovation management. And so you have one innovation leader in and things get going and then they're gone and you have to start again. So there's a longevity piece. But Noam, do you want to reflect just briefly and then Hila, you can have maybe the closing word and to everyone else, we'll follow up on some questions. Noam, I mean,
Yeah,
what can
so
others out there learn from and what's replicable here?
so I think that it's eventually, I think everyone, like I said, every organization is different, but there's a lot to take. And we have our kind of benchmarks that try to look at the different clients that we have and had along the years, and which ones are more successful, either personally as innovation managers and as organization, and what makes that success. And I think what's very cool about ICL and some of our other clients is that they tick all these boxes that Hila presented in very clear manner. So they avoid staying on the side, HQ innovation. They're fully embedded into the organization. They avoid trying to do everything themselves. They're embedded into the rest of the organization. They're doing a good job, not only in creating the engagement, but transforming this to value. And I think this, this is why it's successful, and it's fully aligned with, what we see as our benchmark is what do you need to do in order to, eventually succeed as innovation managers. So this is why I really love this ICL story.
Hila, final question to you, and we're at the top of the hour. So those of you who have to drop off, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. And again, we'll follow up with the slides and replay. Hila, I mean, frequently the end answer to what separates successful innovation initiatives from those that are not, it is at the top. It's at the senior leadership level. If the senior leadership team gets it and understands it and supports it in the right way, you have a chance. And if they don't, they don't. So, I mean, is it too simple for those in the audience to simply say, well, there's Hila, there's the senior leadership team at ICL, they get it, they're doing the right things. And in my organization, we don't have that. And so we can't achieve it. Is that too simple an answer?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it is yeah, of course. It's our responsibility as innovation managers to get that management attention, okay? And to make them understand that it's a process. And we cannot look only at the bottom line all the time. We need to understand and pamper the process. And this is our job as innovation managers, to put these processes and put these routines into place to get their attention, okay? So I don't think that every organization can do it on this level or another. Okay, it's doable. It requires attention. It requires patience, and it all depends, on us. You're passionate about what you're doing. You love what you're doing. You're having fun while you're doing it. People, get attracted to that.
Wonderful, Hila. Thank you so much. And Noam, thank you so much to you as well. And to those of you who have joined us, thank you for your great comments and questions. We'll follow up with those. And certainly we'll send out the slides and the replay. But again, best wishes for the rest of your week. Again, Hila, Noam, great to see you. Be well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. Thanks,
Yeah.
Hila. Alex.
Bye.
Take care.